What's up, bitch? What you doing today? Are you allowed to have a gun? I didn't think felons were allowed to have a gun. You know, well, especially like felons that have like been in prison for, their mom. You know what I mean? Well, maybe it'll be a BB gun again. You never know. What? You did it like that before? Lay down. Your mama, bitch. What? I'm sorry. I say that shit all the time. It's not my fault, Not everybody kills their mom, So it's a pretty good horror flick I picked out, huh? Slasher movies. Oh, is that a trigger for you? What? Sorry, I didn't know. Oh, God. He stabbed her. Oh, is that what it was like when you did that to your mom? Damn. Hey, Gypsy. Stop giving your little butt plug of a friend my messages to leak online. I don't talk about you and my shit. Hey, Gypsy, what do you want? Whoa, whoa, what's up your ass? Probably Cat. He probably misses Steve. What? What, Gypsy? Well, of course I told some of your secrets online. You talk about mine. Yes, I did tell them that you and Bree got down. Yeah, I got paid for your nudes too, but you know what? There's some guys that really like chicks that look like rodents. Okay? Oh, I think she hung up. Alright. Okay, what's up guys? It's Mel, aka Baby Girl, and today I have a really, really interesting video. Now, last night, and the night before, I kind of went down my own little tangent of a rabbit hole, so bear with me in this video, but I feel like I'm going to make sense. So, I did a lot of research. Now, we definitely know about Miss Gypsy Rose's 1Q21.1 microdeletion genetic disorder, right? We all know that she's got that. We've found out since she's been released from prison about that. In fact, we didn't know it beforehand. Now, keep that in mind, okay? This was found out after she got out of jail. It's caused by a small deletion of genetic material on the long chromosome. Also, I want to put this out here, first and foremost, before I talk about anything medically or anything like that. I am not a doctor. I do not claim to be. I am not diagnosing Gypsy. I am just putting my research out there, what I looked into, and why you do your own research and believe what you want, okay? Okay, and it contains, the part that's deleted contains a lot of important genes, many of which are important in brain development and function, which a lot of the procedures and things like that Gypsy Rose had to undergo are directly because, like we know, of this genetic disorder, this microdeletion. And as a result, individuals with the microdeletion can experience a wide variety of physical and even behavioral challenges throughout their lives, okay? Which says a lot. I'll get into that. The severity of the symptoms can vary widely upon different individuals. Some may have mild to no symptoms at all, while others can have every symptom out there. We're going to dive deeper into some specifics as to what we see in Gypsy Rose specifically, okay? Early intervention and special education. It's going to be more beneficial if they find out that you have this genetic disorder early on, okay? Because the farther along you are, the harder it is to treat your symptoms. And they also prefer that you have special education because you will have developmental delays cognitively. Then you'll have to have some kind of behavioral therapy as well, because it can cause individuals to become aggressive. They will have angry outbursts and things like that. They need like a CBT therapy, which is a cognitive behavioral therapy. It can be very helpful that they have that. It helps them learn to manage their symptoms behaviorally. You know what I mean? That makes them self-aware. It makes them understand what they need to be doing. You're going to have physical symptoms and you're going to have the behavioral symptoms. They can have very physical symptoms as well, like heart problems, kidney problems. Okay, also individuals with 1Q21.1 also have not only the aggression to deal with usually at times, but they'll also have to deal with poor impulse control. So that's also very, very telling in the situation with Gypsy Rose. They don't have the ability to really have much patience. It may seem like they have ADD. A lot of them do have ADHD problems. So they need, the behavioral therapy and, a lot of support throughout their time. Now, because there are symptoms that don't really matter too much, and other symptoms, people with this condition are at a higher risk of exhibiting aggressive behaviors, like I said, especially when they are unable to manage their own frustrations. Quite frankly, it's a lot like when an autistic child of some severity has an angry outburst because they have a hard time controlling their emotions, taking themselves out of the emotion in order to think logically, being able to not think and not feel the emotion, but instead think logically and be helpful and problem solving in the situation. It's very difficult for them to do, which does say a lot about Gypsy Rose and her poor decision-making skills. Also, when they have the aggressions, that can lead to very violent behavior, thoughts, that kind of a thing. They'll have developmental and intellectual disabilities, a cognitive delay, which is very common when they have this microdeletion. To some degree, they'll have it. Not everybody's the same. Like we've said, they'll have speech and language delays, which also brings me to a short video that I found on Reddit. But this short video is about, how everyone teases about her always sticking her tongue out of her mouth, and licking her lips. Well, it is a part of this microdeletion, which is why I went down this long rabbit hole, y'all. Like, once I found that, then it was like, well, let me research it some more. So bear with me. Anyway, so the tongue thrusting is from a swallowing disorder. It's the tongue thrust swallow reflex due to poor tongue positioning in her mouth. She's talking to Nick. She tells him about having to drink Pediasure out of a bottle, or close to an adult at that time. And then also, if you listen to the TikTok that her and Ken did with each other recently, I think she deleted it though, where she was feeding him the baby food. She talks about having to drink a banana flavored substance, and I assume out of a bottle if she'd had to drink the Pediasure out of the bottle, which, if when someone sucks their thumb or whatever, they get that overbite look. But with her, and having to use the bottle and things like that, the upper part of her mouth goes way up, and that means that her tongue isn't positioning correctly either, So a lot of times they will do tongue thrusting because of that symptom, but they have to usually attend a lot of speech therapy and things like that to be able to stop that, or be able to learn how to properly position their tongue with their mouth being that way, which again is all part of the microdeletion, which you would never think, you know what I mean? But once you put all this together, it's like, whoa, so hear me out. And the aggressive behavior that is caused by the microdeletion, along with the poor impulse control, is recipe for disaster when it comes to, you know, hormonal changes as a teenager and then into adulthood. And then also she was very entitled from a very young age, being that, you know, her mother gave her everything under the sun. And there's proof of that, and proof even in the interview she did with Melissa Moore, with her stating in one part of the video that her mother never hit her up to a certain point. And then also, you know, there was another point where she said that her mother hit her all the time. I don't believe she did, because I believe they'd find that out very, you know, especially when she said that social services had been over there and checked her body for bruises. But she said up until that point she had never gotten hit by her mom. So mostly, like, they have trouble with violent, aggressive behaviors. But the problem with this is too, though, she planned her mother's demise for 2 fucking years, though. You know, so it's really hard to say whether or not she was doing this off of impulse or whatever the case. But then if you look at the actual definition of it, it does kind of say, okay, maybe she did do it on impulse, because this whole time it was more of an excitement to her. It was like it was an adrenaline rush for her. You know, and she was willing to do whatever it took. And she really, which I'll get into this too, she really thought she was going to get away with this and go home. And it's part of delusion that is caused by this microdeletion as well. Also, now, it is very common for people with this microdeletion to be diagnosed with schizophrenia. Now, hear me out. I know that I am not a doctor. I am not diagnosing Gypsy. I am simply bringing this up as a theory to corroborate with what I'm saying. Okay. With the microdeletion, it's very common for people to become schizophrenic or be schizophrenic, right? Well, she claimed at one point, if you remember correctly, that her own mother, she claimed, even though she was never diagnosed with it, she claimed her mother was schizophrenic. And if that was true and it had truth to it, it says even gives her even more of a chance to have it herself, because it's passed down. I'm really trying not to go all over the place. So and delusions are also caused when you have schizophrenia. You will have major, like, delusions about who you really are, how important you are, that kind of identity crisis, you know. She believes certain things don't apply to her, so certain rules and things like that, which I believe has ultimately created this master manipulative monster that she has become. You know what I mean? She's literally had every piece of ingredient that you could have to create a monster in her bowl of gypsy bullshit. Now, and she doesn't obviously think about all of the consequences when she does something. And I am by no means making excuses for her. I am only bringing this up because the entire time she was in prison and all that, this wasn't spoken about. Okay? Her father even admits it in an interview that Nina has pointed out before, that she does have this chromosomal disorder. So if anybody really wanted to go down this rabbit hole and do all this research, they can. Just a few clicks of a button on the computer. I'm not making any of this up. I'm not coming up with any of this off the top of my head. I'm just like putting pieces together and drawing lines to answers and trying to figure shit out, you know? She also sometimes even doesn't grasp the reality of how severe what she's doing is. And like, she is very well spoken, which also bothers me, because she leads people to believe that she's stupid in a lot of ways. Stupid, I don't understand. I think she plays dumb a lot of the time. She attacks everybody online that speaks about her negatively, which totally burns her ego up. And she has this major delusion that she's way more important than she really is. Like I said, that rules don't apply to her, such and such, yada yada. And I also believe, though, too, that she has very, very vindictive tendencies. I believe she was also probably very vindictive towards her mother as well. Because I don't believe that Dee Dee was quite who she portrayed her to be. And we don't have any other evidence to say otherwise, you know. So it's really hard in this situation. The delusions also make her feel powerful, on top of the world. She can't do no wrong. You know, she ultimately, like I said, believed that she was going to get away with this. And so then ultimately the whole ego with the schizophrenia brings me to, well, how did she become a master manipulator? And yeah, it's probably from learning from the best, from learning from her mother, who did all of those fraudulent things solely to take care of her, but ended up making her entitled. It ended up making her, you know, her ego shoot through the roof, like she was supposed to be the center of everybody's world at all times. So with that being said, it then created a master manipulator so that she could always make sure that she got what she wanted, no matter what. She started making sure that she used her vindictive and her manipulative tactics to her own advantage. So a master manipulator is someone who uses others to get their own needs met, often through subtle and difficult to recognize techniques, so that they're like a snake in the grass, slithering their way around, getting what they want, however they're going to get it. They'll behave at first like she tried to do when she was being all nice about her marriage and stuff, and she's so in love with Ryan and da-da-da-da. She's gonna be this advocate. She did the whole video on Amelia Bird. You know, she wanted to get Pixie, that whole thing. She was starting off like that, but it was, I believe, kind of a way to manipulate us as an audience. I know she didn't quite think she was going to have that when she got out, but she had to have, to a certain extent, being that she had like the HBO special and she had all kinds of different things that were ready to just take off the second she got, you know, released. I mean, so in some form or fashion, she should have known. And I think she did, and she wanted to manipulate our minds into feeling like she was some kind of victim, of course, and that's why she told all the lies that she did tell. And it's all been one huge manipulation. They have a very, very unflattering view of humanity. They believe that people are nothing but liars and bums, basically, and of course always out to get them and only them. Failing to then, you know, believe the fact that she is a schmurderer herself, and that's the reason that people don't like her. She automatically like just puts that out of her mind and expects us to put that aside and put that behind us and allow her to do what she wants to do, because that's unfair to her, even though that's totally like common sense to you and I. That probably wouldn't be something that could happen or should happen. She will be willing to use any means at all that she can to do what she wants to do and have it the way she wants to have it. They'll be cynical and distrustful of others, and they use deceptive behaviors and emotional manipulation and love bombing to achieve their goals. And which we see this with fucking Gypsy all the fucking time. I mean, and if you go through the rabbit hole of symptoms that comes along with that microdeletion, there are so many things that it can cause. And like I said, or it can be nothing. You don't have any problems at all. It seems like the things that she is affected with are because she at least has it moderately. You know what I mean? Because she does have and the bulbous nose is a part of the microdeletion. The delay in development, which is also part of why she was treated like a young child because of her cognitive abilities at that time. In the interrogation, she said something along the lines of that girl Leah, that she was a bully to her, and you see like the most genuine response when the officer says that Leah was worried about her when she was missing, and then she's like laughs and she's like, oh, she was worried about me, she's my biggest bully. I believe that she was worried about her, and I don't believe she was an actual bully. I believe that honestly Gypsy was very jealous and looked at her as a threat, and so that's why she was like, oh, she's a bully, even though she said that she was very nice to Gypsy. She got along with Gypsy and even treated her with childlike mannerisms because she was developmentally delayed. They make others feel comfortable. They'll try to make you feel validated and understood just to then use shit against you, which we all know she does that too. They'll gather information and cultivate what seems like an equal exchange of information, but then they will use it against you to their own advantage by trying to get more information out of you than they're actually giving. I also believe that, like I said, Gypsy Rose is a very vindictive person. And the definition is this: someone who holds a grudge and who always tries to get back at people, Gypsy fucking Rose, who they think have wronged them in some kind of way. Even though you could have the most respectful commentating channel go on here and talk about her, and she's going to find it disrespectful, whatever they say, because she just takes offense to anybody telling the opposite of what her story is. They're outing her in her eyes. But we're just speaking the truth. And all of this full circles back again to the microdeletion. Do I believe that she's schizophrenic? I mean, I don't know. It is very much possible. Also, another symptom that oh gosh, this rabbit hole I went down, I swear to you. What's wrong with me? So in conclusion, I feel like Gypsy and the environmental surroundings that she had while growing up, like I said before, had caused her to become very entitled, which then was mixed with her ability. She learned that she could manipulate people to get what she wanted. She learned that she could do it with both emotions and physically. She helped her mom throughout all of these frauds. She learned very well how to act to get what she wanted, to make people believe she was a certain way that she wasn't. She's very talented in that way. She thought she would get a lot of sympathy and support upon her release. She did not realize that it would actually go this way, or that people would start doing their own research, which, you know, somebody with an ego that high, they're not going to think about that as a consequence, because they're going to think in their minds they're always on top. They're always ahead. You know what I mean? She thought ultimately that she could frame Nick, and that Nick would take the fall for all of it. She was going to walk away scot-free, because if you think about it, she used Nick because she ultimately wanted to drop him, let him take the fucking fall, which is why she put that Facebook status. She knew they could trace the IP address all the way to where they were. She thought she was going to walk out and go be with Dan, and he was going to go down for the murder. That was that. She was going to go back to Missouri. All these delusions, which are not only a symptom of the microdeletion, but a symptom of schizophrenia, which full circles back to, you know, her different personalities that she said she had. Like Candy, she had was the slut. She had Ruby, who was her evil side, and also was the one that talked Nick into creating Victor, and she gave him the power of knowing what Victor was all about, which made him feel masculine and like he was helping his woman, right? And she was manipulating him and playing off of his masculinity, which a lot of women do to men anyways. Don't get it twisted, they do. But I totally believe that Miss Gypsy Rose was grasping on anything she could to get him to fulfill the deed that she needed to be fulfilled. She is also very hypersexual, and that is a huge symptom of schizophrenia. She wanted to sleep with Nick directly after the unaliving of her mother, which is really sick. You know, I believe she was very much a sadist because of the fact that, now these are my opinions, these are my beliefs, this is what I have obtained in my own reading, okay? You gotta figure this stuff out for yourself and make decisions on your own. Don't say that it was all me that did this, because I'm just telling you what I found out. Now she's, like I said, very hypersexual. She, you know, was caught sending all those nasty messages as a child. And her mom was disgusted by it, and then she was caught with those pictures that she took of herself, and her mother called it filth, and it really pretty much was. I believe she very much was a sadist. She loved to inflict pain. She liked to see others suffer, which even very much to this day, she's so rehabilitated that she still likes to see herself cause and inflict pain on other people just for the fucking fun of it. It feels like what she did to Ryan. She didn't have to do that shit, but she was done using Ryan. He was done being useful to her, so she had to jump on the next bandwagon, which was go live with my parents. And now she's doing whatever she can to get a baby, and she got that out of Ken, supposedly. You know what I mean? So, I mean, all of this stuff, it started with her being born with this microdeletion and the entitlement and the possible schizophrenia, the possible other mental problems she's facing. She was just a big, huge recipe for disaster. Like I said, I am not trying to portray myself as a doctor. I'm just simply going to tell you what I found out upon researching some things. And her delusions and her mania together could have been what caused her to be so man and boy hungry, you know. She planned her own mother's unaliving for 2 years because she needed some dick. Basically, I mean, that's the gist of it. Like Nina says, I totally agree with her. She says sausage, but I'll say dick. But yes, I totally believe that was Gypsy's entire motive the entire time, is mommy was standing in her way of doing what she wanted to do. And with her, you know, cognitive disabilities at the time, I don't think for sure that it really clicked to her or Nick how severe this really, really is, and how their consequences are going to be really, really bad, and that this is something that can't ever be changed. It can't ever be taken back. I believe they've both learned a huge lesson with it all, but at the same time, I do believe that Gypsy Rose has the tendencies to reoffend. That's just me, though. I don't know how anybody else feels about that. I don't believe she's a masochist, though, because I don't believe that she likes pain because of the simple way that she whines about everything that people do to her online. But yet she could be a complete piece of shit scumbag to other people. It doesn't make any sense to me. But I hope I made some kind of sense throughout this video today, or I'm just going to go crazy, because all I was trying to say was how from the very beginning, her microdeletion and everything that mixed in with it ultimately created the Gypsy that we have today. The Gypsy that unalived her mother. The Gypsy that manipulates and lies and creates all this chaos between people. It just combusted finally, and I don't believe that we should be putting her up on any kind of pedestal. I believe that we should be aware of all the different things that her developmental issues can cause her. It's not just simple stuff. It's not just silly stuff. There are very serious things that this microdeletion can cause her to become. And you can obviously know that just by what she planned with her mom. I mean, she's obviously unhinged. She can't make proper decisions when it comes to her emotions and being logical and things like that. She's just a mess, a complete mess. But anyways, I hope it made some kind of sense. I love you guys, and I hope you do subscribe. Please tickle that little bell icon for me so you can always make sure to see my videos when I come on here. If I feel like I missed anything, you might see me in a different room added onto this video, because there's so much I might have forgot something. Alright, I love you. Don't be an asshole out there. Don't be like Gypsy Rose. Love you, love each other, love yourself.